Dear listeners, or should I say, dear readers, welcome to our English program podcast, Kaleidoscope. In our today's program, we have a special feature entitled The Books We Love, a glimpse into the book world. This feature is narrated by Karishma Punjabi, written by Dr. Amruta Marpakwar, and produced and presented by Gaurav Shimpi. So let us listen to the feature The Books We Love.
As readers, we come across many books. Our to-be-read list is always longer than our have-read list. The books that we read always tend to leave traces in our lives. Some become fleeting memories. Some we only remember names of. And some books leave snippets in our minds. Amongst all these, some leave a long-lasting impression on us. They give us something to smile about when we are sad, or encourage us to face life when we want to give up. At other times, they change our perspective altogether. All said and done, we're all happy and content to be a part of the reading community. So listeners, today we will talk about books, as some of our readers share the books that they love, depend on, and those that have made them happy. But, my dear listeners, today we'll take a road less traveled. We always read and listen about authors' biographies and histories of books they've written, and there are reviews made by the readers of those books. So we have the authors and the readers in active voice. But today, we're not gonna do that. We'll be delving into these topics in a cool Jasper Fforde style. Jasper Fforde is the author of Thursday Next series, a series based in a parallel universe. Yes, you heard that right, in a parallel universe, where literature is a major industry for work. The protagonist of the series, Thursday Next, is a literary detective who has a special ability to jump in and out of novels in the book world. Here, the literary universe is alive, and a lot of background action takes place in the books. So now, let's hear what Thursday wants to say.
Hi, I'm Thursday Next. As you know, I'm a member of SO27 Directive. Having met all wonderful people from Bookworld, I'm here to introduce you to some readers and their favorite books. And I promise you that this journey will not be as boring as the punishment I had received for reading the most boring books of the century. So, without any further ado, here's our first reader. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go get his favorite characters here.
I'm Somnath Sangneria. I'm a soft skills behavioral trainer and a mental health counselor. Today I'm here to tell you about my experience with reading and what books mean to me. Well, I started reading from the age of 6. That was the sports column of the newspaper. And since then, this journey of reading steadily grew, and even growing right now. What reading does to me? Well, the most obvious reading thing that a reading does is educate us, so that it educates me. But along with education, it entertains me, it motivates me, it stimulates my brain. Reading reduces stress, it helps me feel emotions of different people, takes me into the fantasy world at times as well. And sometimes reading also helps me sleep as well. I'm going to talk about 3 categories where the writers have influenced me. One is fiction, second is management, and third is psychology. Under fiction, I have enjoyed reading the most famous detective Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Apart from entertainment, while reading his books, I learned about problem solving, analytical thinking, or how to deduce things, what is the science of forensic, the power of observation and pattern recognition. Another fiction writer I have enjoyed is the famous lawyer, Mr. Perry Mason, by Earl Stanley Gardner. From his books, I understood human behavior. I learned how to think fast under pressure. How do we trust our team members? And how do you get yourself and other people out of trouble while still maintaining attention to details? Under management, there have been two authors who have influenced me tremendously. One is Eliyahu Goldratt, an Israeli born management guru. His most famous book worldwide has been the book called The Goal. What I learned from him is how do we optimize production techniques, how do we have a critical chain project management, the cause and effect thinking, and how do we take care and remove constraints. Another management author is Kenneth Blanchard. His most famous book worldwide has been The 1 Minute Manager. Apart from other books like Whale Done, High Five, Gung Ho, Raving Fans. From him, I learned about clarity of thinking, teamwork, customer service, and leadership. In psychology, one writer that has had a tremendous impact on me has been Sigmund Freud. He was an Austrian neurologist and also the founder of psychoanalysis. His most famous work has been the concept of id, ego, and superego. From his concepts, I have learned how the mind works and how we could use this learning to help people who are in mental distress. In conclusion, I would only want to say anyone who wants to start reading, I would say the time is right now. Start with anything that you like, be regular, and your brain will automatically lead the way forward. Thank you and enjoy your journey of reading.
There you go, Watson. Did I not tell you? It's all logic. For there is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. Even in the 21st century, I am liked. See what he says about logic? Even if improbable, it is the truth that my logical thinking and crime solving facts will be read for more centuries to come. Ah, do you remember, dear Watson, when Doyle decided to end our adventures? Though he was being compelled by readers to write more, we were having our own adventures. We solved so many cases here and even traveled to so many places. How we met those dandy people that Oscar Wilde kept introducing in his books, and how we were able to tour St. Petersburg in Russia, because that same year Anton Chekhov published his book. Alas, I regret not knowing Russian then. I still don't know what those people kept telling us. But our adventures ended when I got stuck in Far East and you had to return to London, for Doyle had decided to write the adventure of the empty house. Those were the days, Watson. Well, you do have a grand gift for silence, Watson, as I always say. Oh, but look, here comes Perry. Perry, did you hear your praise, Perry?
Oh, yes, Sherlock. It was good to hear something like this after a long time. Took me back to the very beginning, where I was all alone, stuck in the courtroom for many days, with other characters just drifting in and out, in and out. It was when Gardner finally decided to write The Case of the Velvet Claws, where I was able to meet the other characters and have free reign in the book world. Oh, but come, let's hear what another reader has to say.
My name is Etisha Botre. I am a writer and an editorial advisor. To me, some of the greatest benefits of reading would be that the more you read, the more you learn to empathize and develop compassion for people, for their emotions, etc. I believe these are some of the most important traits to lead a quality and fulfilling life. Reading a good book also means that I learn to write better, so I need to keep reading other people's work. To put it simply in the words of Virginia Woolf, I would say a writer should love books for their own sake. I always tend to recommend Brief Answers to Big Questions by Stephen Hawking. I think this is one of the greatest books for curious minds. The book answers 10 basic questions about life, the universe, and the greatest challenges of the 21st century. I would especially recommend my favorite chapters, which would be How Did It All Begin? Can we predict the future? And Will artificial intelligence outsmart us? So it's a great read, an interesting read if you often find yourself struggling for rational answers about human existence, its creation, and the universe in general. I am sure you'll find satisfying answers, and those too from Stephen Hawking, who is also one of the greatest minds of the world. My second recommendation would be God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. I love this book because it basically touches upon almost all aspects of life, be it gender politics, cultural discrimination, forbidden love, heartbreak, the innocence of children, the chaotic mind of an adult, among others. I also think that this book is a rare gem for its style of writing alone, because it tells one of the most heartbreaking and sad stories in a very hilarious yet tender tone. It's a very difficult writing craft to master, and I hope I can also write so skillfully one day.
That is why I wrote these books. See, now I can exist here. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change, and with an IQ of 160, I do know how to adapt. Thursday Next was kind enough to introduce me to the book world and has made my stay comfortable here. And here I was even introduced to other theoretical physicists, so I can continue my work in peace. But I had most fun when Thursday introduced me to her mentor, Miss Havisham from Great Expectations. Miss Havisham keeps me entertained by retelling of all her car races and escapades. There she comes again. So I leave you to the case of the next reader. Always be curious.
I'm Saurabh Vaishampayan. I was exposed to book at very young age. My father, aunt, elder sister, cousins, they used to read a lot and discuss about the stuff they read, which ignites my interest in reading. And basically I learned from vernacular medium, Marathi medium. So obviously I was more inclined towards reading Marathi from my childhood. And as I grew up, I started reading Hindi and English book, and gradually it increased. Obviously, as a Marathi reader, P.L. Deshpande, Veer Savarkar, Durga Bhagwat, Ambarish Mishra, Shivaji Sawant, Gonida are my favorite authors. Of course, there are many other great writers and poets in Marathi literature, and I read their books too, but my reading inclination is towards history and biographies. And as far as I can remember, the book which can truly be called the beginning of my reading of history is Babasaheb Purandare's Raja Shiva Chhatrapati. I have read that book many times, and it teaches me something new every time. It is an awesome book. It is a wonderful book. And the book Raja Shiva Chhatrapati really made me obsessed with Shivaji Maharaj as well as Maratha history. And over the time, the reading of stories and novels decreased, and the number of reference book in my cupboard increased. A few years ago, I co-authored a Marathi book titled Itihasacha Paul Khuna, It's a part 2 in that series. And also I wrote in newspaper, magazines, and others still writes occasionally. So these reference books, or what we can say bibliographies, are useful for such writing, or maybe while giving lectures on Maratha history. But all these references has to be read very carefully. If possible, those references should be cross-checked with other available resources, multiple resources. This may seem boring or complicated to people, and often it is really complicated. But I wouldn't say boring, cause it's my favorite part, and I really like to do that. And I guess it developed my critical thinking skill. So all these reference reading include very old text or books, the books which have been out of print for decades maybe, and often rare reference in British Library are made available for reading. Thanks to my friend Sanket Kulkarni for that. And currently I'm trying to learn Modi script and Urdu language, so it will help me to read more references. So yes, overall, reading is not just hobby for me, cause it has opened up a whole new world for me. So all I can say is pick up a book and start exploring the past. Thank you.
Oh, yes, listeners, I remember when I forgot how every written word is part of the book world. But reading involves anything that can be read, right? I was once stuck in a room with no place to escape. Then Miss Havisham, my mentor, took me into the book world through the words written on the laundry tag of my shirt. Do not bleach. What an escape that was! But it reminds us that readers are connected to the book world through different mediums. That could be fiction, history, or even reference books. And all readers are welcomed with open hearts in this world.
Books are the quietest and the most constant friends. They are the most accessible and wisest counselors, and the most patient of teachers. So true, isn't it? I am Rishima Acharya, age 15, and I am here to talk about these friends, books. What does the word books mean to you? Well, some just say words on pages, while others might say words narrating stories. Well, for me, I've always imagined the paradise in the form of a library. Stories from all over the universe that transport us to their world, to view a story they wish to tell us. Reading is like dreaming with open eyes. I started reading books a long time ago, so it's quite hard to say exactly from when. It has been the most relaxing and the longest practiced hobby. I've traveled different worlds, fought various battles alongside heroes, punished many traitors, and have found a piece of heaven in just a few words from the pages. Books don't need to have a particular time of the day to spare. We can lie on the bed, be at a dentist's clinic, or even be waiting in a line for the ATM and read. Nowadays, many find their joy in audiobooks or Kindles. While I love the way new books smell, love to feel the pages and the alphabets, to admire the cover by returning back to it in the middle of the story. I've had various phases of book genres: fantasy, sci-fi, teen drama, kids fiction. I've lived at Hogwarts, Half-Blood Camp, enjoyed the adventures of Ramona and Beezus, seen Beatrice and Katniss destroy the dystopian rule, felt the misery of Pollyanna, Heidi and Little Women, and even had mice friends like Geronimo Stilton. But let's go to the world of jump scare and fear, my favorite genre, thriller. My very first thriller was the book of the very own well-known Queen of Crime. Yes, Agatha Christie. Her writing has a slow turn of events, so slow that they are unnoticeable at times. Her intelligent detectives, Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple, aren't just the thing that keep us enthralled, but the unexpectedness and anxiety can be overwhelming. They keep us curious of who the true criminal might be, and we finish the book not realizing so for once. Her stories not only show murders, blood, and investigation, but they also explain the human nature and the life in the 1900s. The story slowly unfolds and everything makes sense. I have read quite a few of her books, including The Murder on the Orient Express, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, Body in the Library, The Murder on the Blue Train, Cant Among the Pigeons, and Mirror, Cracked from Side to Side. And my personal favorite, And Then There Were None. This book revolves around a rhyme called 10 Little Soldiers. This book narrates a story where 10 people, not knowing one another, are brought to the island for some or the other purpose by Mr. Hugh N. Owen. At dinner, when the owner of the island has not yet arrived, each of them is accused for a murder and were brought there to be punished for it. Soon each of them starts to die. They don't find a way to escape the island and are sure of the murderer to be one of them. Secrets unfold, the characters act, and yet we still hear the poem in our ears as the number of victims increases. We can feel the hot blood flowing in our ears till the very end of the chapter, till we find the true murderer. Or do we? Many movies were woven around this very story, including the loosely inspired Hindi movie Gumnam. Reading Agatha Christie led to a liking for murder mysteries. Other mysteries are The Thrills of Silent Patient, The Woman in the Window, and my latest read, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This book, too, is a must-read. Written by Holly Jackson, this book is a perfect one to be enjoyed by teenagers. It includes drama, threat notes, murders, and so many secrets that you might find one of your secrets unfolding. This book is a part of a trilogy. It is a story of a girl, Pippa, who starts solving a 5-year-old closed case of disappearance of Andy Bells as a school project. Everyone in the town knows that the murderer is Sal Singh, but Pippa isn't sure. This book makes us suspect every character in the book, scaring us that it might be one of the most liked characters. I finished the book in one sitting, too curious to get to the end of the book and the bottom of the mystery. I still have many mysteries on my list and always will, as these great authors continue to make the books so entertaining and thrilling as they are now. But beware, these books have a side effect in the form of the disease called investigatomania, where every incident in our life seems to need an investigation.
Very wise of her. The only thing I shall want for a rainy day will be a good reader taking this journey with me. What do you think, Poirot?
Yes, Miss Maple. There's nothing more amazing than the extraordinary sanity of the reader. Now, even after so many years, I remember when Agatha used to think of a new idea. We were transported to a new place with new people, and all the excitement I used to feel not knowing who the culprit is. Though mind you, I never failed to find out who the criminal was.
Oh yes, Poirot, it was all good. And we had such a joyous time with all those people before we had to move on to a new place. And now Pippa shows such skills.
Yes, I wish I had started that young.
Imagine my dilemma, Poirot. I'm older than all of you.
Well, Miss Maple, whatever our age, our readers will always love us. And I hope, dear readers, we will meet again and again and enjoy our time together.
Well, listeners, these were our favorite characters reminiscing their beginnings in the book world. Hope you've enjoyed listening to them as much as you've enjoyed reading about them. Oh no, Hades is up to some mischief again. This is an explicit SO27 directive. I have to stop him. But you, dear listeners, are all welcome to Bookworld to have a wonderful time with us and to have your own great adventures too. Until next time, this is Thursday Next signing off. Ciao.
So listeners, that was a special feature entitled The Books We Love, a glimpse into the book world. This feature was narrated by Karishma Punjabi, written by Dr. Amruta Marpakwar, and produced and presented by Gaurav Shimpi. Hope you enjoyed this program. We'll be back with another exciting program. Until then, thanks for listening and please stand by as the next program follows.